Canada, good afternoon. The second half of our doubleheader on TSN in Winnipeg, which today is Windy Peg. It is blowing here in a big way.
Well, some great numbers by both quarterbacks. In fact, Kevin Glenn kind of snuck his way up the efficiency standings. Only Dave Dickinson has a better efficiency rating this late in the year.
Charles spinning, churning. Pickups of about 14 yards of first down. What a thrilling finish in Montreal. The Alouettes take temporary hold at least of first place in the CFL East. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a team that's looking towards next year and now will play out this season potentially as spoilers.
Well, the Alouettes really put the pressure on the Toronto Argonauts because I think finishing first in the East is so critical for home field advantage. So to keep pace, of course, Toronto has to win this game this afternoon.
Roberts again. Stuffed this time by the Argonaut defense, which has been the weapon for the Toronto Argos this year. Their defense. Here's our starting lineup, brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast.
3-4 alignment they will use. Karan, newcomer on defense, may come in at tackle. You'll see a 4-3. Mike O'Shea. Kevin Ivan leads the league in tackles, and a terrific secondary that likes to keep the receivers in front of them. They don't give up a lot of big plays, and that's what Winnipeg's offense has been able to do this year. So some pretty interesting matchups. Toronto defense not giving up the big play. The Bombers have lived by the big play all year long, and I think, Rod, so crucial. Toronto's defense is vulnerable to the run. You saw that against the Edmonton Eskimos last week when Troy Davis piled up 112 yards. And for Winnipeg, they've got to run the football. And with Charles Roberts leading the league in rushing, I think that has to be their primary focus. So far to begin the game, you see them trying to establish that.
Well, you'll see them run the ball today because you put it in the air. This ball's going to sail. This wind, 41 to 61 kilometers an hour, coming from the south, and the wind blowing from right to left. Screen, and the biggest play of the game may have been before the game, the coin toss.
Well, and it was funny. I talked to Kent Austin, the offensive coordinator for Toronto, before the game, and you know, he's had so much experience, so have I, at these kind of games. And, you know, here was the coin toss, and you could see with eager anticipation they're looking down. Winnipeg won the toss.
You want to defer. Toronto.
You will defend this end.
You want to defend this end.
So the interesting, obviously Winnipeg will have the choice in the second half to have wind in the fourth quarter. And Toronto, let me just finish this thought. Normally your worst quarter for offensive plays, the number of offensive plays you run, is the first quarter. So they have chosen to have the wind in the second quarter, which was the smart play on their part if they did in fact lose the toss.
That it was an errant toss by Kevin Glenn, and so the rocket foot of John Ryan will come into the game now and boot the ball with this wind.
I mean, it is howling. John Ryan, you see the average there, almost 51 yards a punt. In the warm-up, 70 yards plus was nothing for him. So the strategies today with special teams and the decisions that are going to be made, you're going to see a lot of funny stuff happen.
End over ender, bouncing over the head of Bashir Livingston and right through the end zone. And so a long single, 74-yard kick. That was nothing. We could see a 100-yarder here today. 1-0 Winnipeg.
Well, Mike Gibson, the offensive coordinator and line coach, going over some things with his offensive line. And again, I think that's so critical. Winnipeg has to run the football today.
Damon Allen. Andre Talbot drops the ball. The ageless wonder, Damon Allen, at quarterback. Again for the Toronto Argos, who now are trying to keep pace with those Montreal Alouettes in the East.
Yeah, and you see Mike Palmer again getting the start today. RJ Soward out of the lineup. Toronto basically will go with a 5-receiver set. 3 receivers have a chance to get over 1,000. Baker's a little bit away, so is Arlen Bruce and Tony Miles, and an offensive line. Couple changes again. Jerome Davis getting the start at right tackle.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Stopped in his tracks is Robert Baker, well short of a first down, and this brings out Noel Prefontaine, who has to now kick it against the wind.
Now the defense that the Argonauts will see today, Gavin Wall's the leader, 11 sacks so far on the season. Terrific front forward, Joe Fleming at 2-1. Big change in the middle. Joe Tuipala is getting the start for Ryland Wicknam. They want to see what he can do against the run, and of course a very young secondary. All 5 are new to the team, and it truly has taken them a long time to gel. I'm not sure if they've gelled quite yet.
Keith Stokes is back wearing a new number this week, number 0. Gave up his number 3. And look at this kick. Flag on the play, no yards, but Stokes has some room and some blocking help. Keith Stokes down the sideline. Stokes knocked out at the 12-yard line, but it could come back.
I think the call's no yards. I would be surprised if this came back. Toronto got caught, and that's going to happen a lot today. We'll hear the call.
No yards. Toronto 37. Penalties decline. First down.
Well, and you see right here, look how bunched up the cover is of the Argonauts. I mean, they're all tight together. You've got to spread out to the field, and they just didn't do that. And finally, I believe Sean Millington comes from behind and stops Stokes from going the distance. But a terrific punt return. We got some great ones in this game with Stokes and Livingston.
We could see some electrifying returns today. Special teams paramount. Stokes actually went out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Roberts. Charles Roberts. Down to the 4-yard line. 24-yard pickup for Blake Roberts.
Boy, and Jonathan Brown inside number 97. He had a shot at Roberts right here, and he could not wrap up the little speedy running back. Roberts to the outside, and after the terrific return by Keith Stokes, Charles Roberts. And I mean, this isn't some big secret today, Rod. Toronto absolutely knew that Winnipeg was going to try to run at them. Heck, after Edmonton did it a week ago, you know other teams are going to try to do it as well.
The Argos second worst in the CFL against the run. The Bombers are the worst team in the league against the run. Roberts again. No hands in the air, so that means that he'll get down to the 1 to the goal line. And another crack. Here's Kevin Glenn. 25 touchdown passes this season. Matches Damon Allen.
Well, a guy you just have to love watching. Milt Stegall, 4 catches a week ago, 4 touchdowns. Not a bad average. Keith Stokes will get some receiving time today. And Mike Abumeshrik, who played 3 years for the Bombers now, and he is a big load on that right side at 6'6". In fact, right tackle, right guard, both 6'6".
Still no signal. And the Argos stuff the Bombers here.
We'll have another look, and this is a great, did he or did he not get in? Kevin Glenn certainly there does not look like he was able to break the plane in the goal line, and Winnipeg with playoffs out of the picture for them right now. There's no question how they'll play today.
So now 3rd down. Bombers know with the win that you got to get to the end zone here. Every time you got the ball with this breeze, you got to put some points on the board. Big backfield, blocking help. Easy touchdown this time for Charles Roberts. Drive that started with Keith Stokes finished off in style by Charles Roberts. A 24-yard scamper and the 3rd down and 1-yard touchdown run.
Well, a good lead block by 21 Scott Regenbald. Wade Miller's in there as well, and they paved the way for Charles Roberts. Watch Miller seal down right there to the outside, and that allows Roberts an easy trip to the end zone, and they take advantage of the Stokes punt return to pick up the first major of the afternoon.
Troy Westwood converts. The Blue Bombers hit the end zone first. 8-0. Thanks to this major by Blake Roberts. Down. No yards on that return from Keith Stokes. play action from Glenn. Open downfield, but sailing it. And there's the reverse. We talked about the underthrow from Damon. You saw the way that ball soared over top of Darnell McDonald.
And Jordan Younger should have had the interception, but I can tell you it's as difficult to catch into the wind as it is with the wind. I mean, Jordan Younger really wasn't even anticipating to have a play on this football. He was trying to play the receiver, and all of a sudden, boom, the ball hits him right in the hands. But I can tell you, catching punts downwind and catching the football receiving downwind is a lot more difficult than people realize.
Out of the pocket, Glenn with room, trying to get to the first down marker. He does, and a couple of yards extra. Kevin Glenn escaping the heat from the Toronto Argos.
Well, it was a great blitz pickup, and then downfield. How about this? Young Scott Robinson, number 81. Here he is. A lot of courage to take on a big guy, but he steps up. He was with the Edmonton Eskimos for 4 years, played in the Grey Cup, caught some footballs, and here he's now as a young Canadian receiver trying to get some playing time with the Bomber offense. And that will get you playing time when you step up like that. He's only 210, taking on a big guy like Eric England. That's impressive.
Yeah, gave up about 50 pounds there on that hit. Roberts again, slashing for 7 yards. Let's go down to Sean Churchill patrolling the sidelines this afternoon. Sean?
Thank you, Rod. Earlier you had mentioned that Keith Stokes had changed his number to 0. That's because Anthony Marlborough arrived 2 weeks ago from Calgary. Marlborough wore the number 3 from junior high, and he needed that number 3 to keep his traditions going on. That's when a business transaction took place. The average number, we're not quite sure. It's somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 that change hands between Marlborough and Stokes in that number exchange. Rod?
Hey, it's an expensive exchange. And so Keith Stokes is wearing 0. Anthony Marlborough coming over from Calgary in the trade for Wes Lysak. Look out here. Glenn has the ball, throws it left-handed. Had to improvise there. He might have been just best to eat the ball. That was interesting, to say the least, for Kevin Glenn.
Well, you know, even snapping in the shotgun's going to be tough with this win today, and the play gets off to a bad start. Coming off the edge, Chuck Winters playing linebacker for Bonner.
There's no infraction on the play. 3rd down.
Antonius Bono out for the season. Chuck Winters now playing at that linebacker spot, and he got in there great shape to really disrupt that play. And, you know, the biggest thing Toronto wants to do is get out of this quarter. Like 8 points would be brilliant. A little under 5 minutes to go, and if they give up a field goal or another sinking, that's not all that bad.
Troy Westwood, longest field goal this year from the 47. That's where he is right now, and this is nothing with this breeze. They were booting them from 60 yards in the pregame. The hold is there. The kick is up, and he had plenty. Troy Westwood and the Blue Bombers leading 11-0 over the Argos. 11-0 Winnipeg, 4.5 minutes to go. First quarter. Windy, mid-October afternoon. Stopped for a loss in the backfield is John Avery. Gavin Walls, you talk about MVP, certainly the Rookie of the Year candidate for the Blue Bombers has been Gavin Walls. As for Michael Pinball Clemens and the Argos, a date next week with Montreal in the offing.
Who do we play next week? I mean, for us, you know, it is only this football game, and that's what it is. It is actually a physical impossibility to win 2 games at a time. So for us, it's only today.
Damon Allen. And off to the races is Tony Miles. Will he be caught? Yes. At the 10-yard line, but a huge play by the Argos.
What a terrific play, and Winnipeg chose to only rush a few. Here's the matchup on the outside with Tony Miles. Follow it. William Fields in coverage. This is hard hard, great work by Tony Miles. Nice push upfield, cut to the middle. Nice concentration to make the catch, and against the at a critical time. What a huge play this is. You know, you only rush 3 and drop 9. Damon had lots of time to step up into that pocket with no pressure and find the receiver.
67 yards on the play.
Well, when you're trying to get out of the first quarter, you know, it's 11-0, 2:46 to go. I mean, this would be exactly what your wildest dreams could have expected.
There's Miles moving closer to a 1,000-yard season. Argos could have 3 players reach 1,000. Damon to the end zone, looking for Andre Talbot, but that pass a little wide. Pinball Clemens talking about Montreal next week, that game at Olympic Stadium, and depending on the outcome of this game, I mean, it's important anyways, but the Argos, knowing now that the Montreal Alouettes pulled off a near miracle finish against BC earlier today.
You look at little critical points in a game, and it's going to be really the points you get into the win today that make the difference. It's not going to be the points you get with the win. It's going to be opportunities like they have right here.
4 receivers to his left. He goes right, and dropping it at the goal line was Miles.
Well, and again, when you're throwing into the wind is coming directly at Damon Allen. So when you're throwing a post off to the side, it's going to push the football a little bit backwards, and it absolutely did for Miles there. It was a good pattern. He was open, but this is truly the Achilles heel of the Argonauts so far, in my opinion, this year. Inside the red zone, which is the 20-yard line I use, they've only scored touchdowns 50% of the time this year. That is not good enough if you want to get first place, and here again is another example of that.
The 17 kick is good. Argos are on the board, but they trail by 8 inside 2 minutes first quarter in Winnipeg. Keith Stokes is at his 30-yard line. Darnell McDonald will take it though. McDonald brings it up to the 45. So a minute 46 with this wind in the first quarter.
Well, and Mike Gibson might be saying to Kevin Glenn, hey, just as Rod Black just said, a minute 46 to go. Kind of know the situation here, young fella, because it's all going to be about when you have your opportunities. This is a big one. 60K win behind you. You may want to air it out a little bit here.
Has tried to air it out, but has not found a receiver. 0 for 3 in the air.
But again, you know, the longer you throw downfield, they're tough balls to complete both ways today.
Charles Roberts exploding through that hole created by the offensive line and picks up 12. Blake Roberts said before the season that he wanted to get close to 2,000 yards. Will come short of that. The rushing leader in 2003 at the end of the season, and the rushing leader right now in the Canadian Football League.
Well, in all time, he only trails Leo Lewis, the great bomber. Charles Roberts firmly in second place all time.
In this year of rebuilding, Charles Roberts says, though, that next year is going to be a big year for Winnipeg. Flags all over the place here. Says he wants to be around to watch the Bombers try to fix things up, as he calls it. Remember, next year Winnipeg will host the Grey Cup game.
Boy, flags are even flying way downfield. That flag went up and then it flew about 15 yards.
Looked like some movement on the line. There was another flag at the far side of the field. Might have signaled an interference call of some sort. But that's all they're talking about is the movement.
You know, the encouraging thing, Rod, for Jim Daly and his Bomber offense right now is that they are running the football effectively. And of course, you know, whether you're going into the wind or with the wind.
Winnipeg 67, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Mike Abumeshrik, the right guard, but whether you're going into the wind or with the wind, I mean, running game's a running game. That's not going to change a whole lot. And you know, so far they've shown that they have been able to establish Charles Roberts.
Darnell McDonald wide left. Of Kevin Glenn. Looks to him. Glenn fighting, stretching, just shy. 14 yards it looks like. 1 yard shy for Darnell McDonald.
You know, as I talked about, the Winnipeg defensive backs were going to snug up on Toronto's receivers into the win. I think the Toronto defensive backs have to respect that Winnipeg could go deep at any second. So Jordan Younger giving a lot of room to Darnell McDonald, and on 1st and 15, he's very close to picking up that first down. And they have 33 seconds still to go with the win here in the opening quarter.
Saw that ball coming at Darnell McDonald.
You know, there's a perfect example of how coaches may coach today, Rod. I think 2nd and 1, 33 seconds to go with this enormous win. I think you take a shot to throw the football downfield here, and worst thing, then you gamble and pick it up. But I think you need to try to create more offense than just this first down. I wouldn't be surprised to see play action. Well, there you go.
Didn't need it though. Roberts. Charles Roberts running all over the Argos defense in this first quarter. 20 seconds to go.
Al Toronto expecting right up the middle. They do cave in from the outside, and then that allows Blink Roberts to get past Michael Fletcher to the outside. Holding, enormous holding, not called by the offensive line of Winnipeg. They got away with one, and Blink Roberts is having a great opening quarter.
Already 83 yards for Charles Roberts. Glenn in the pocket, fires. A one-hopper play of the first quarter, no flags, so that will do it. Winnipeg in the breeze, leading 11-3, and the Argos take the win now. Glenn. Catch made in traffic, and it's Scott Robinson.
Well, a 6'2", 210 graduate of Simon Fraser University. A big block earlier in this game on Eric England. Now a spectacular catch in traffic, and the ball is tough to catch. A free agent came to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Had been with the Eskimos for 4 years. Had 3 catches in the 2003 Grey Cup. So Winnipeg rebuilding's got a good young Canadian.
Roberts tries to go up the middle. Michael Fletcher is there. One of the few times they've been able to contain number 1. So 2nd and goal now from near the 5-yard line.
Now because they've established Roberts so well, you know, even though it is into the wind, I mean, they really have Toronto guessing at this stage, you know, pass run. What's it could be play action. I mean, I love play action here with Kevin Glenn rolling out, because into the wind, you know, he might be the best weapon on this play.
Well, and the other guy, of course, number 85, a few days ago, destroyed the BC Lions with 4 touchdowns. Knocked down. And so Troy Westwood will come out and try to kick a field goal from chip shot range normally, but again, against this heavy breeze.
And that was a huge defensive play. Michael Fletcher coming off the edge. Orlando Steinhauer was also coming on the blitz, but this is huge. Watch Fletcher go high in the air. Looked like Steinhauer got some pressure, but Fletcher got there. And boy, you know, any of these extra points you get into the wind, I mentioned, are so critical, and that's key play. Now they have to settle for the 3.
No problem for Troy Westwood. 14-3 Winnipeg. Clifford Ivory soaring in untouched with the block. This is the 5th time that John Ryan has had a kick block this year.
Well, there he comes. Sean Gallant blocked the wrong guy up front. It's the wrong pickup, and Ivory with the turnover. And, you know, I said Winnipeg had to play a clean turnover game in field position. Well, they did 2 bad things on 1 play.
Now done at work. Avery from the backfield. John Avery takes it into the end zone on a beautiful scamper. Avery shreds the Bomber D this time.
Well, watch the block. Jude St. John, he's going to come all the way out on this little swing screen. An excellent run by John Avery. He sees Jude St. John coming out of the corner of his eye. Right there, he cuts back just enough of a block, creates the seam, and gets the touchdown.
Point after. John Avery puts the Argos into the end zone for the first time this afternoon. 14-10 Winnipeg. Winnipeg Blue Bombers not headed to the playoffs, really heading towards next year. A lot of jobs on the line. Trying to end this season on a positive note. A lot of negatives in a year where they were celebrating 75 years of football in Winnipeg, and it was not a very positive celebration for the team on the field. Diamond anniversary. A lot of losing for the Bombers this year. Riled up a lot of the fans here in Winnipeg. Kevin Glenn, though, since he's taken over at the helm of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, has looked awfully good, particularly last week against the BC Lions. And is he the guy next year who will be the main man? He wasn't at the beginning of the year, remember.
Well, I would be surprised based on what he's done this year if he wasn't the main man. I mean, his 25 touchdown passes is equal to Ricky Ray and Damon Allen so far this year. And, you know, Calvillo with his performance today has gone to the top of it. I think Kevin Glenn very quietly has done an excellent job with his team.
Stokes shakes a couple of tackles, but now very interesting for the Blue Bombers with 5 minutes to go, and John Ryan will have to boot this away against the wind, and they are hemmed deep in their own zone. And so Jim Daly was going to talk to John Ryan.
Well, and we watched John Ryan warming up before the game. Now this was into the wind, and he's got the good look going there, but watch how low he holds the ball, which is a good thing. But watch this ball. I mean, it almost comes, well, it does come backwards. So, and this wind is supposed to pick up even more as this game goes on. So this is John Ryan's first real test from deep in his own end.
He's at his 5-yard line.
Number 1 in punting, 51-yard average. Number 1 in net, 42.5. 42.5 on a net is more than a lot of guys' plain average. He's the best I've seen in a long time.
In this game of field position, too, Argo returners are back at midfield. Wade Miller went ahead here, and now John Ryan close to his end zone. It might be a moot point here. He might give up 2 points.
Winnipeg, number 34, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Well, there's Wade Miller, and not really sure what he was thinking. And maybe they're getting it. I don't know what he's doing there, to be honest with you. Unless they want to keep just going back so it's easier for John Ryan to give up 2 points.
To give up 2 points instead of having to worry about heading and retreating back to that end zone.
I mean,
we talked about this before the game and how interesting it is when you're back at your 5-yard line, 10-yard line, that you might want to take it back into the end zone.
Now the strategies again, I mean, as a coach, you add so many more decisions to the mix in a game when the wind's like this. It really
He's going to do it again. So he does it again, and that's exactly what they're doing. And that was all in the planning. Let's go down to Sean Churchill.
Yeah, Rod, and Wade Miller is the chosen player to do that play. They'll do it twice when they are in the shadow of their goalposts, and after a third time, John Ryan will take the knee right now.
So they were kind of in that no man's zone with Ryan at his 5-yard line, not wanting to kick it away. So a couple of plays, and they'll give up 2. And taking some time off the clock is what they were also doing.
Well, he took at least 40 seconds for the first 2.
And when you are against the wind, you want to eat up some seconds, and he'll eat up a few more here. And he'll wait and wait. Finally dives out, giving up 2, making it a 2-point game. 4:15 to go before halftime. Last 2 minutes of the second quarter. John Avery out of the backfield, and that play has worked well for Damon Allen and the Argos this afternoon.
And I think Damon Allen and Kent Austin are going to have to realize that Winnipeg has really stepped up their coverage today in the secondary, and this may be the secondary option for Toronto to go to, is let everybody clear out and use John Avery out of the backfield. And if in fact they do put Sean Millington in as well, he's a terrific receiver in his own right. Toronto needs to really get in that hurry-up mode, and I suspect if they complete a pass, Damon's got to get them in hurry-up offense.
Over the middle. Oh, what a catch! No, they're saying no catch. One official said catch. One official said no catch. It looked like he laid out, Andre Talbot did, and made the grab. One official said no, one said yes.
Well, you're going to get a great look there. I thought as he hit the ground, the ball popped loose, but it came right back down into his stomach.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, good call.
That's a great call. And you know what? It probably happened so fast that Andre Talbot didn't even realize it himself.
Or he's just using a little acting here.
Ruling on the field is it is an incomplete pass. Incomplete pass. Second down.
Oh, that's a great call. Great work by the officials here. That was such a split-second look. I mean, we have, of course, the ability to slow it down to a crawl here for you, but the referees in the heat of the battle have to make that split decision, and they sure came up with the right call there.
You're right. Maybe Andre Talbot just thought that he was able to hang on. 2nd and 10. Allen. Catch made by Arland Bruce into field goal territory. Now, not normally field goal territory, but today you can boot it from 60 yards, it seems. Arland Bruce, the former Bomber, with 1:25 to go, and the Argos on a big 2nd down and 10 play.
Well, he's just a few yards away from his 1,000-yard season. Noel Prefontaine was hitting easily from 60 yards in the warm-up today with the win.
Toronto wanting to get to the end zone. Allen avoids one tackle. Doug Brown can't get him. Flag downfield. And we'll see what the call is. Joe Fleming there. William Fields there. But Doug Brown is back in the Winnipeg lineup after missing a couple of games with some foot problems. He's had all kinds of trouble with his feet this year. Just missed the sack. Here's the call.
Illegal contact on the receiver. Winnipeg number 3, 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Anthony Malbrough, the new Blue Bomber, former Stampeder, and so the Argos get a break here.
And he comes in the nickel situations, and he's covering on Michael Palmer there to the top of your screen, and there's the contact downfield. Good call. I mean, Palmer's trying to get open, and he's just holding him up.
Avery knocked out of bounds by Lamar McGriggs, and McGriggs immediately looked towards the Argos sideline, and John Avery is down and he is hurt. And there is a good sign, walking on his own.
And I think for Avery at the end of this play, listen to him scream.
Allen. Reception from Tony Miles. John Avery's all right, it looks like.
Well, let's hope so, because I mean, he really let out a wild scream there as he went down and reached for that hamstring right away. But what a terrific drive by Damon Allen being put together just inside a minute to go in the first half. And Damon Allen, you know, they haven't sacked him today, but they've shown a lot of pressure, and he's been pretty nimble in that pocket, moving around, finding himself some extra time to find an open receiver.
The Argos have not won in Winnipeg in 5 years. September 9th, 2000. Last year, they lost in Winnipeg. Remember, Damon Allen was time, and then was able to return to the Argos and eventually led them to the Grey Cup.
Now you go back to that game last time they won, September of 2000. Kerwin Bell was the quarterback. He threw 3 touchdowns in the second half to win, and there was something else that was kind of a milestone in that game.
Yeah, the guy on the sidelines who's the head coach for the Toronto Argonauts was the coach at the time, but he was the player coach.
And that was his first win as a player coach. So a lot of good stuff happened, but it sure seems like a long time ago, their last win here at Canet Stadium.
Anthony Malbrough was down. He's had some hamstring problems as he came over in the trade for Wes Lysak and finally able to get into a Winnipeg lineup today, but heads to the sidelines. 1st and 10 Argos from the 21, 56 seconds before halftime. Michael Palmer knocked out of bounds.
You know, Rod, that's the 8th play of this drive, and they're starting at their own 20. I said a few moments ago that Damon Allen really wasn't in a rhythm today, but he's really found himself on this drive, and this has really been well executed. Mixed it up nicely. Got all the receivers involved in the passing game. I believe Robert Baker's the only receiver not to catch a football yet this afternoon, but that was Palmer's first.
2nd and 5. 43 seconds to go. You know, you come down this far and the red zone troubles continue for the Argos, but you come down this far with the wind and it's almost like golf. You know, you got an easy par 5, but you par it. You get a field goal down here. It's kind of like par on an easy par 5. You want the 6 points.
I couldn't agree with you more, and the temptation to gamble becomes into the equation as well. But you know, Toronto coming into this game has had 37 opportunities inside the 20 in the red zone, and 10 of those times they've come away with nothing. So either with a turnover, loss of down. So I believe that's one thing that's really been holding this team back this year. But they do get the 3 points by Prefontaine and finally jump into the lead in this ball game.
Well, Michael Clemens, when asked this week about the troubles of his football club lately, he said, you know, last year we had to lose 7 times in order to win a championship. They've had 6 defeats already this year. Charles Roberts reversing field and gets 6 or 7 yards with 35 seconds to go before halftime.
But I mean, it really shows you the quickness of a Charles Roberts. I mean, that play designed to go inside. Ivan, the leading tackler in the league, came down with the flow, and he couldn't react quickly enough to the outside as Charles Roberts picked up some 7 yards, and pretty spiffy numbers for one half of football.
And Keith Stokes going to the sidelines. So the 2 guys who exchanged numbers earlier this week in Winnipeg are both injured on the sidelines, Keith Stokes and Anthony Malbrough. And that is another costly one for Winnipeg, especially with their return game.
Well, and it's costly because they're thin at receiver. They don't have a lot of second guys. Scott Robinson and a running back, Graham Bell, that can play a little receiver. They're the only guys.
Stopped short. Mike O'Shea, who just became a daddy again a few days ago. Young Ashling. Congratulations to the O'Sheas.
Yeah, his wife, Rocher. 3rd child for Mike O'Shea. 3rd time CFL on the tackle list. Only Willie Pless and old Adrian Johnson have made more tackles in their career than old number 50 right there. And when he plays with a nasty side to him, which is most of the time, he is pretty tough and he's feared by most offenses.
Nasty guy, hard hitter. Has to change a lot of diapers right now when he gets back home. Final play. And in this wind, only 1 point separating the 2 teams. The Argos lead 15-14 at the half on Wendy's CFL Live from Winnipeg. Ready to kick it off against the wind. Again, how critical could that coin toss play out here this afternoon? Shar Livingston tiptoes the sidelines, but out near the 40-yard line.
But I think the quarterback comparison, the numbers are pretty much what you might expect. Good with, of course, not so good into the win. 6 of 14, 9 of 17. I think Damon Allen got very comfortable late in the second quarter with the win. Engineered a 3-point nice drive, 8 plays. Then he, of course, the 1 touchdown pass to John Avery. I thought both quarterbacks under these conditions played extremely well.
No turnovers so far. Remember last week, the Argos, in their loss to Edmonton, fumbled the game away. Had problems controlling it. That ball a little too high for Arlen Bruce.
And again, when you look at Toronto today, I kind of wrote down some notes that they need less turnovers. I mean, 2 critical ones last week cost them a game against Edmonton. Those fumbles by Baker and Avery. I think less critical penalties. Some penalties hurt Pinball Clement's team last week. Jonathan Brown at a crucial time jumped offside and, you know, gave Edmonton a free first down. And of course, what we've talked about today, when they get in the red zone inside the line, they need some touchdowns, not just field goals. And again, that has also been a challenge for them this afternoon.
There's that monstrous Canadian lineman, Doug Brown, back on the line for Winnipeg. Brown in pursuit of Allen, who goes over the middle for Miles. First down, Argos.
Good read by Tony Miles to find the soft spot. Winnipeg rushing 4 and dropping 8. A zone coverage. Watch, Tony Miles will get passed off right there. They bump him inside. Now he has to find the soft spot. There it is. He choked his motor down, which means you slow down, stay in that hole. And Damon Allen got good time to throw and found him nicely. You like that choke your motor down, eh?
Damon Allen to Talbot. What a catch on the deepest thrown ball today with the breeze, and the Argos take it down to the 17-yard line of Winnipeg. What a catch by Andre Talbot.
And watch how he times this perfectly. When he looks back, he just kind of doesn't look, and then finally tries to fool Omar Evans that the ball isn't coming, and at the last second he makes his play on the football, and that is a terrific catch.
Couple of catches today for Andre Talbot. Is kind of sad that, you know, he wants to see the football a little more. Well, he's getting some answers today. Argos looking to score again. Bruce.
Boy, he made something out of nothing there. He's inching closer to that 1,000-yard mark on the season, but clearly made himself a good target to pick up some extra yardage. And you know, the biggest play in this game may have been the coin toss at the beginning that said Winnipeg will get the win in the 4th quarter. Good block by Talbot right here, gives Bruce a few extra. But the sense of urgency for the Argonauts to score in the 3rd quarter with the wind is paramount.
Bruce is 5 yards away from 1,000 for the season receiving. 2nd and 4. Allen in trouble to Talbot. Touchdown. Andre Talbot. And he is seeing a lot more football today, and the Argos are seeing dividends.
Well, he's asked for the football a little bit more in this scheme. It's probably not going to happen as much as he likes, but has he ever stepped up here in the 2nd half as the Argos take the opening drive down a long pass to Talbot, and now he caps it off. And Damon Allen has done a terrific job this afternoon buying himself some extra time to find receivers.
Andre Talbot in the end zone. The Argos with an 8-point lead.
Winnipeg is being allowed to eat up a lot of time on this clock.
8 minutes and 18 seconds to go. 3rd quarter. Glenn backpedals. Roberts out of the backfield. Flag on the play. Might be against Winnipeg, and maybe a holding call. We'll see. Jermise Jones, perhaps, number 57. Andre Proulx getting ready to make the call. Let's go down to Sean Churchill.
Thank you, Rod. Just an update on John Avery's condition. He has a small tear in his hamstring. Interesting note, it's the healthy hamstring, the one that didn't affect him earlier in the season. Rod.
Bad timing award for the Argos at the most critical point of the season. Here was the injury late in the 1st half. This is what they don't need. Remember, Avery last year picked up his game at the right time, of course. The Argos brought their A game to the Grey Cup game. Trying to defend. Trying to get there again. Quick hitter. Catch is made. Jamie Stoddard. Everybody was kind of sitting around waiting for a whistle. Finally, the Argos touched Stoddard, who was on the ground.
Well, Jamie Stoddard has been a very dependable receiver for Winnipeg in his 6 years. Certainly a spot-time starter. And everybody just kind of relaxed there. Stoddard was allowed to make the catch, and Kevin Glenn did his job. 1st and 20. The goal is to try to get halfback on 1st down and the rest on 2nd down, and he did just that. 2nd and 10.
Again, Milt Stegall has been quiet here this afternoon. Will Glenn go to him? No, this time to Darnell McDonald. Another 1st down and some heavy hitting, helmet to helmet. Darnell McDonald with another 1st down.
He's making the most of his opportunity here, replacing Chris Brazel. Listen to the hit. Boy, Chuck Winters came in and Kenny Wheaton. But the bottom line is Darnell McDonald has been having a field day against Jermaine Younger out on the corner, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have put together an unbelievable drive here on their 1st possession in the 3rd quarter.
No one has been able to find the end zone to this side of the field this afternoon. Not yet anyway. Roberts nowhere to run.
Karan Riley, the newcomer, slashed down and made that play. So the Argonauts shifting between 3-man and 4-man fronts. There's Riley, NFL veteran, NFL Europe veteran, XFL veteran, sports announcer. I mean, this guy has done it all. And
had his own talk show down in Atlanta.
24 career games in the NFL, most with the Atlanta Falcons. 16 games in 2003 with that team.
2nd and 7. Glenn. He Stokes. Stokes down to the 5. Churning. Touchdown. Oh, what an effort from number 0.
Well, here's Keith Stokes right here. They clear out. He just kind of delays, and then he'll come across the middle. Good protection there for Kevin Glenn to allow this play to develop. It takes a while, but he finally becomes free, and then what an effort.
And breaks the plane. New number for Keith Stokes. Finds the end zone. And the Bombers do what no one has been able to do this afternoon. Score to this south end zone at Canada Stadium. 5:20 to go. Point after is good. Back to being a 1-point game. Did he get in?
I don't think so.
Argos leading 22-21. They know that they have to put a few more points on the board, with Winnipeg getting a decisive advantage in the 4th quarter with the win.
Yeah, and it's interesting now with, running the clock. Would they even consider, if Winnipeg does not pick up a 1st down here, 2nd and long, would Toronto maybe use up their timeout even though it's the 3rd quarter, try to preserve an extra few precious seconds with the win?
6 Packer receivers. Out of the backfield is Stokes. Stokes spins. Keith Stokes up to midfield. So Keith Stokes, who got nicked up before halftime, has been a force here in this 3rd quarter.
And again, as Mike O'Shea, Ivan, you've got to be looking for these guys coming on crossing routes in the middle, because Kevin Glenn does not want to throw the ball deep downfield in this situation. He wants to hit guys short, and Keith Stokes really been solid with yards after the catch.
Again, the Bombers missing one of their weapons, Chris Brazel, this afternoon, and their biggest weapon has not seen the football, number 85, Milt Stegall. Pitch to Roberts, flags. Looks like a holding call against Winnipeg.
Well, I think we're going to show it to you. I mean, Michael Fletcher coming off the edge on the outside. Tough to see. Here's Fletcher here. Watch as he comes. Watch how he just gets absolutely tackled. Scott Reginald comes out and just throws him to the ground. And, yeah, I think that's holding.
holding Winnipeg 21. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Charles Roberts comes to the sideline. First down and 20 yards to go. Stokes, the hitch pass. Swallowed up by Kevin Ivan. Down in 23 now for the Blue Bombers from their 44-yard line.
Knowing that he has the wind in the fourth quarter, I mean, here's where Kevin Glenn has to be somewhat careful. Would he love to pick up a first down? Is it probable? Probably not.
Oh. Eric England was in the backfield.
That's a throw.
Before the ball came to Charles Roberts.
Yeah, that's a throwaway play. I mean, they just want to punt it, bring in John Ryan. He's the best in the business, and they just want to get rid of it without creating any sort of turnover opportunity. Again, a lot of good sounds. I'll tell you, one of the best sounds today is when Keith Stokes caught a punt and it hit his shoulder pads. You could hear it all the way up here. The ball came down so hard.
Quite a day for Stokes. Had one go off his visor earlier, but banged up on a play. New number and all, and a touchdown in the third quarter. Might be the final play of this third quarter. John Ryan, his final punt into the wind today. Livingston bursting outside, going backwards. And he's dragged down by a group of blue. 22-21 Argos, and Winnipeg gets the win in the fourth. The Argos begin the fourth quarter against the breeze. Allen fires up the middle. And Arland Bruce with another catch. Gain of about 16 yards.
So with this catch, Arland Bruce goes over 1,000 yards receiving, and here he comes. Nothing fancy over the middle, and you know, for Damon Allen, this is probably going to be the easiest throw to complete in, you know, where he can go straight downfield, doesn't have to go to the sides. There it is.
Allen, rush on, Sean Millington out of the backfield, and lots of room. Millington, former Lion, out of the broadcast booth onto the field. First down, but a penalty flag in the secondary. And it's going against the Argos.
I think it's rough play on Robert Baker. He's been fighting with a lot of guys out there, and he's got to keep his cool.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Toronto 88 after the play was over. 15-yard penalty.
I mean,
first down.
You know, this happened a week ago. Some critical penalties, some critical fumbles, and again, you know, my little notes I make to myself. Number 2 today was
they're not
less.
So little, they're good notes.
Well, less critical penalties. I mean, you've got momentum. Great screen to Millington. Now you go backwards.
Allen on the go. What a hit and a great grab by Bruce at midfield. Boy, that took some concentration from number 5. Omar Evans was there on him.
Well, and clearly, you know, Talbot's made some good catches, but it's going to be Arland Bruce who's going to be the gunner here in the second half. They clear out, trying to find a voided area. Pretty good reaction by Omar Evans to come in and make the play, and pretty big heart by Arland Bruce to know he's going to get the hit and still come up with a good catch.
So 2nd and 4 yards. Tony Miles will give the Argos the first down. Allen in trouble. Throws it away.
You know, one of the plays that Toronto ran on this drive a few plays ago that I thought was so interesting was the screen to Sean Millington. And again, you know, when I put his name into the lineup today, I kind of scribbled screenplay because I just remember him with BC and the teams he's played for. When he catches that screen and you get that 237 pounds chugging away downfield, it was a pretty thing, and it was fun to watch him run that play once again.
Officials coming in here to talk about this. A few whistles just before they were about to snap the ball. Looks like they're going to have a little group conversation. Chill in the air, but still a pretty pleasant day. That wind, though, has been howling all afternoon. It's been a factor. Allen avoids one tackle and a flag downfield. There was a flag at the line and one also in the secondary, so could be a couple of penalties here.
So offsetting. And you just get the feeling that every play so critical for Toronto, clinging on 1-point lead. They're driving into the wind. They don't want to give the ball up.
Holding Toronto 65. Illegal contact on the receiver. Winnipeg number 2. Both are 10 yards penalty. Will replay it down. Second down.
Here's one of the culprits, William Fields. 12-14 to go, fourth quarter. Damon Allen, 322 yards passing. Trying to drive his team to the end zone. Over the middle, and William Fields was all over Andre Talbot. He better watch himself. And another flag, and William Fields goes ballistic after a call, and he is going to cost his team again.
Well, and I'm wondering, there's another flag thrown that the wind just took way down in the Toronto backfield, so this is really going to take some sorting out. There's clearly the interference was committed on Talbot. You'll see it over the middle. Pressure coming there on Damon Allen. He hung in nicely to deliver that football. And because the ball backed up just a fraction, you know, William Fields definitely created the contact, and then he got agitated with Talbot's reaction. He got agitated and, you know, gave him a shot.
Well, both of those guys, Talbot shouldn't have been in the face of Fields, and then Talbot will not get any Oscar for that performance. Talbot was in Fields' face, and then Fields hit back.
Major foul. Roughing the passer. Winnipeg number 15. Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 2. 30-yard penalty. First down.
I thought when Damon Allen let that ball go, it might have been a little late.
Wow, look at the difference here. 30-some yards in the penalty.
Well, there's the ball's gone. Ron Akami, a backup linebacker, comes up the middle. That call to me is marginal. That one was a no-brainer. But now penalties. You know, Baker hurt his team with an objectionable conduct or roughing, and now, you know, the penalty on Fields and the roughing and the passer.
And the good thing for the Argos and Mike Clemens, they're also eating up some of the clock here. Almost 4 minutes into this fourth quarter.
Well, that's, I mean, that's exactly what they want. I mean, they've got to have some ball possession here.
So one play, some 40
On the
yards.
previous play, we had pass interference. Winnipeg number 2 will apply that on the spot of the foul. Major foul, roughing the passer. Winnipeg number 15. Major foul, unnecessary rough. Winnipeg number 2. First down.
So what that translates to is 30 yards worth of penalties plus where the spot of the foul, which was probably about 15 yards. Let's call it 45 yards or 43 yards total gained on one play for Toronto. I mean, talk about a gift.
That was a long bomb. Courtesy of some infractions. The Argos now, can they convert in the red zone? This has been a sore spot for Toronto this season. Inside goes Sean Millington, bulldozing for a couple. The Argos can get down to the 2-yard line. It's not a second and goal situation here now.
You know, where Damon Allen historically throughout his career has been so good at to ride that fake into his running back, it would be Millington. And if Tom Canada or Gavin Walls or the linebackers crash down off the edge, Damon Allen always has the option of pulling that ball loose and running the naked bootleg.
Second and 5. Good D that time from the Blue Bombers. Arland Bruce couldn't gather it in, and once again the Argos go all this way, get the help from some penalties, and will have to settle for a field goal.
Well, Arland Bruce cutting in underneath there. Damon Allen had to throw the ball before he was ready for a couple of reasons. Doug Brown was in his face, and had he waited, the goalpost would have been in his face. But Rod, you're right. I mean, this is not what they wanted. I mean, this red zone futility again is really hurting them.
The defending Grey Cup champions need a win today to keep pace with Montreal in the CFL East. The Alouettes pulling one out against BC earlier. 1-point lead becomes 4 in Winnipeg. Jim Daly, some concern for sure. His starting quarterback, Kevin Glenn, is still on the field after getting hit by Jonathan Brown and Eric England, it looks like.
Well, again, take a look. England's coming from the top. At the bottom, Brown makes the contact, but then he bangs him into Eric England.
Oh, yeah.
And the head just really got snapped.
And then the head hit the turf as well.
Rod Black, I think you're right. If you know, Brown with the initial in-your-face hit, but England, when he came from the backside.
Boys, Kevin Glenn seeing some stars here. You know, it is the most glamorous position in football, the quarterback, but when you sat in that pocket, you are open game. Here it is again. One hit, and there it is there, yeah. Might have gotten a little whiplash. We'll get Sean Churchill to report on that for us down on the sidelines, but Russ McNeil will come into the game. Backup quarterback. They really like out of Western Illinois. Was with the St. Louis Rams last year, getting some playing time. Early in the season, a lot of people thought he should have been starting when Glenn was struggling.
Well, he's played in 3 games for the Bombers in spot duty this year, 14 of 25, couple of touchdowns, no interceptions, which is a good thing for a young guy. A left-handed quarterback makes it the receivers. And, you know, just to finish that thought on a left-handed quarterback, you know, all game long, sometimes as a receiver downfield, you really never see the quarterback when he delivers the ball, but you expect where you're going to see that arm come from above the lineman. And you're all day long, you're expecting right-handed. And all of a sudden, you got to adjust to left-handed coming out of a blind spot. It is a bit of a difference, and the Winnipeg receivers are going to have to think about that because they probably don't play a lot with Russ McNeil during the week.
Well, John Ryan will punt. The Blue Bombers, again with the win, might have chosen a field goal, but there's so much time left. Ryan, arguably the strongest leg in the league.
And if he really nails one, you wonder whether they'll just go ahead and give up the single. I mean, they've got a 4-point lead, but field position might be way more important.
Don't forget this. He almost kicked it out of the stadium. Wow. Oh my goodness. That ball's still in the air.
Life's about options. When I take the snap, drop back, read the defense, I have infinite possibilities. And split seconds to the side. In my game, The clock is always running. Sometimes you got to throw away the playbook and go with your gut. I'm keeping my options wide open. This is my read. This is my Sports Center.
John Boom Boom Ryan with a 75-yard single that was probably about a 95-yard kick. Oh, Sean Millington has lots of running room here. Easy first down on a great play call by Damon Allen and the Argos.
Well, I just love it when Sean Millington gets loose with the football on the swing pass. To me, it's a great call. It's a safe call into the wind. And again, this is Kent Austin's running game with the pass. Easy ball to complete. And all 6'3", 237 of the Diesel is off and chugging. And I'll tell you, Brett Franklin didn't look overly interested about taking the Diesel on there.
Again, the Argos without John in this second half. Allen stands in. Andre Talbot again. Talbot. An impressive afternoon for number 4. Former star at Wilfrid Laurier has been a quiet part of the Argos offense lately. Not today. He has pumped up the volume.
Well, and he wanted it more. Watch him come down in motion. Then he sneaks inside when everybody clears out. And, you know, good play against the wind, and easy ball for Allen to complete to Andre Talbot. And has he ever stepped up his game in this game this afternoon?
4 catches for Talbot. 86 yards and a touchdown. In Bomber territory, Bruce. And that's close to a first down. Now with an update from the Bombers sideline on Kevin Glenn. Here's Sean Churchill.
Thank you very much, Rod. Kevin Glenn did come off the sidelines. He was not knocked out, but like you said, he has slight whiplash, but he is feeling okay. He's up on his feet, running, and he came over just a few minutes ago and said, I'm okay. Chances are he may be back in.
Looks like he might go over and throw a little bit as well here. In fact, he will. He's going to get a ball and he's going to throw. So Kevin Glenn, after taking a vicious lick to the head.
You know, earlier in the year for the Bombers, tackling was a real problem. And on this drive, Brad Franklin's missed 2. I mean, he had a good shot at Arlon Bruce there, missed it. He had a good shot at Sean Millington, missed it. So when you get into these situations late in the game, I mean, as a defense, you've really got to step up and play tough. And Brad Franklin just has missed a couple of tackles in a row.
Well, the Blue Bomber defense ranked last in 5th statistical categories coming in. The Bomber D has been one of the reasons this team has been a contender over the last few years, but not this season. So many players in and out of the lineup.
Well, I mean, look at this. Here's the key, that this is where they're worst this year, and Ottawa was the worst last year. They're at 448. Ottawa was 413. So, I mean, they have set some new standards for lack of defense.
Second short yardage. 6.5 minutes to go. Jim Daly has had to kind of introduce himself to a lot of people, and a lot of people in that defense for the Bombers have had to get to know a lot of new guys.
Well, and these are all, you know, here you're looking at starters here today, and they're all new. Those 5 guys right there. So, you know, it hasn't been easy for Jim Daly. It hasn't been easy for veterans like Doug Brown and Joe Fleming to adapt to such a young group. And quite simple. Herman Bowman, he's come back to the team when Rod Rust had to leave.
Allen looking middle. Catch made by Robert Baker down to the 4-yard line.
That's a spectacular catch, and I said earlier, Robert Baker is asked over and over again to do some of the dirty work. Baker's in there. He's the 3rd guy in always. That means he's going over the middle. He has to be fearless, which we know he is, and that is stretched out in front of Sean Gallant to make, you know, these are all game-winning kind of plays. That is a spectacular catch. He's not afraid to get his nose dirty at all.
First and goal for the Argos. Millington stretching and will be stopped. Just that far away for Millington. So it'll be 2nd and goal for the Argos, who lead 25-22.
Well, and this is the reason why they were happy to sign Sean Millington and bring him out of retirement. And these are the situations that, you know, he's going to get his opportunity to earn the paycheck. They need him to grind away, and this is the perfect spot. And for Robert Baker, boy, to finish his story, he's a tough guy in this lineup. We all know that, and that was a tough catch that he made look easy.
Damon Allen, no signal. There it is, touchdown. And some chirping going on the line. Well, it was Tom Canada and Jerome Davis.
Well, Canada ripped his helmet off and then kind of handed it to him back to the ground. And to Davis's credit, he really kept his composure, because when you have a guy ripping your helmet off, I mean, you react to fight back, and to his credit, he did. Toronto gets the touchdown, no roughing penalty, and boy, I take my hat off to Jerome Davis. He kept his composure right there.
So did Jerome Davis take his hat off.
I set you up for all these good ones.
4:29 to go, and so now pressure on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Prefontaine to come in to add the point after. And the Argos on an impressive drive against the wind. This to take a 10-point lead. Argos trying to keep pace in the CFL East, needing a W. 10-point lead for the Argos. Inside it's in the 4th quarter. Game story brought to you by Sport Check, the power of sport.
Well, it's interesting. Winnipeg really did what they wanted. They established Roberts early and often, and Stiegel didn't really factor so far in this game. Damon Allen, how about that? 391 yards passing on a very difficult day, and of course, those 10 points here in this 4th quarter in the wind is phenomenal.
Glenn hanging in to Stokes. So Kevin Glenn coming back after getting hammered by the Argos. A couple of forearms to the head. Back in the lineup and engineering a drive that he hopes will take this to the end zone. The Bombers need a major score. 2:42 to go.
Well, and I've been impressed with the Winnipeg receiving corps. To think today that Chris Brazel is out, Gilles Colon is out, who was a starter for much of the season. So they're getting some depth.
First, look for Stiegel and an interference call, it looks like. That was the kind of play that shredded BC last week. The Argos secondary has been there, but that time an interference call.
Well, you see the reaction on Michael Clements. He thought the timing was perfect. You be the judge. The ball is there. I don't know.
Oh, that's close.
Toronto number 13. Spot a foul. First down.
I mean, at some point in time, you got to let the guys play. And I'm not saying it was the wrong call, but I don't know. To me, that was iffy.
The Argos secondary, though, has done a great job of nullifying Stiegel today. Darnell McDonald has been a force, and now 1st and goal. Glenn has to run, throws it away.
Now that was holding for sure on Kenny Wheaton on Milt Stiegel, and they didn't call it. I mean, that was more flagrant than the interference penalty on Clifford Ivory. And of course, the Argos got away with it. Watch here, the ISO. Kenny Wheaton working it out. Kevin Glenn, scramble, scramble, scramble. Watch it right here. Yeah, just a
little tug.
Well, it's enough. And Milt saying, hey, how could you miss that?
2:27 to go. The Argos trying to pick up their first win in Winnipeg in 5 years, but more importantly to their chances right now, opportunity to tie in the East with Montreal. McDonald, oh, what a catch and a touchdown. How about that layout catch?
Well, he deserves one. He's played so well today. He's made some great blocks, some good subs and run after the catch, and now with his 6th catch on the afternoon, he gets his first touchdown, and all of a sudden, a 10-point lead is shrinking fast, and 2:21 to go. Wow, my, Darnell McDonald has had a super football game.
Well, we have a 3-point game again. 32-29 Argos.
Well, and to set all the situations for you, I mean, should Toronto have to give up the football with this kind of wind, I don't think it's unreasonable to think Westwood's good from 55 today.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of things to think about. The biggest for Damon Allen is he's got to get a couple of first downs.
And protect the football. And no John Avery. Sean Millington is clobbered by Gavin Walls. Stood right up.
You know, Rod Black and I spoke that the most important play in the game may have been the one that took place before the game, the coin toss.
You want to illustrate this?
You don't need to. You just need to know what referee Andre Krul says right here.
Winnipeg has won. You want to defer. Toronto. You want to defend this end, so kick or receive.
They wanted the win in the fourth quarter. They have it. They have some momentum, but they do not have the lead. Not a big crowd, but they're loud.
Now hang on.
The whistles blew. Joe Fleming brought down Damon Allen, and Allen is hurt. The whistles had blown about 3 seconds earlier, and it was so loud here, I don't think anybody heard it.
Well, Damon Allen heard it, but Joe Fleming didn't. And I'll tell you, Bernie Williams, the left tackle, moved. And the referee from the far side was desperately trying to whistle the play dead, but nobody could hear it.
Well, we could hear it.
Well, in the heat of the battle, and I'm going to tell you, Joe Fleming is one of the toughest players in the league, but he's also one of the cleanest players in the league. And I know he did not hear that whistle because 90% of the players out following through with the play anyway. But Damon Allen saw the flag, so he stopped.
It was a procedure call against the Argos. They sort this out, and here's Andre Krul again.
Procedure. Toronto 69. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
So second down. Second and 14. And the officials are now running down to talk with Jim Daly and the scorer, and they're waiting here. Jim Daly was right in the face of the scores, talking about time. I'm not sure. I don't even think a second and off. It was still at 2:12.
It was 2:12 when the play started, and or didn't start, and the clock never moved. So I don't know what the issue is. I think Argos recovered. And it might have been Sean Millington.
Well, it's Winnipeg football.
They're saying Boyd Barrett, number 32, who's in as a nickel deep back on it.
What a hit on Andre Talbot. Watch this.
Well, a hit comes from Stanford Samuels. It looked like Miles had it. And then Boyd Barrett, 32, at the bottom of the pile. He gets it.
.157 to go.
Whoa.
The Bombers trying to take it to the house. Roberts, first down and more. What a turn of events. Stanford Samuels. Charles Roberts, what a day for him. Another 50 on that. 172 yards on the ground for him. Troy Westwood.
Well, you see Westwood warming up, but with 1:46 to go, you know Kevin Glenn's thinking touchdown. They're not in the playoffs. They want to win this football game outright.
Spinning is Roberts. Crowd here very loud, and they have helped bring their team back. Bombers coming back here and a chance to upset these Argos. Montreal winning earlier today.
Well, for Pinball Clements, all he can do is just watch. For Jim Daly and his team, I mean, they've got nothing to lose by going for the win. His team has played hard for almost 59 minutes, and I think they're definitely thinking touchdown, not field goal.
A guy who's had a terrific afternoon, but a critical fumble. Last week it was fumbles for the Argos against Edmonton. That cost them a game against the Eskimos.
Well, that's really tough. Time count violation at this stage when you got, 2nd and 4.5.
Time count violation. Winnipeg number 5. The penalty is a loss of down. 3rd down.
Oh, my.
So a loss of down brings out Troy Westwood.
Well, to set the stage on Troy Westwood's season, he's 24 of 36, only 67%, which is 3rd from the bottom in successful field goals. The good news is the wind is at his back. Distance is not an issue, as he's just got to grind it out and put it through.
With 1:13 to go, it's to tie it at 32. But the Argos have a chance to drive and maybe win it. Results in a Winnipeg field goal to tie this game at 32. Now the Argos look to move it into scoring position and pull this out in the final minute. Out of the backfield is Millington. Sean Millington hurdling tacklers. And a huge play for the Argos.
Wow, what a difference he's made. And to have him into this lineup with John Avery being out with a hamstring injury in the 2nd quarter, what a difference. And Damon Allen has live 1:01 to go. I talked to Noel Prefontaine as he came off the field after the warm-up. I said, what's your max? What's the longest you made into the wind in the warm-up? He said 38 yards, but it was a struggle. And believe me, the wind's just as strong right now.
Damon Allen needs to take this drive deeper. Goes deep for Bruce. Has it to the 5. Oh, what a toss by Damon Allen. And what a catch by Arland Bruce. And now with 38 seconds left on the clock.
And here's Arland Bruce right down the middle of the field. Damon Allen steps back. He sees Bruce. He throws this absolutely as far as he can. Bruce adjusts to the football. Stanford Samuels tries to knock it loose, but with 2 plays, Millington pass and run and an Arland Bruce run, the Argos now with 30 seconds to go. I mean, this is their game.
This game, even though Jim Daly's team's not going to the postseason, has been like a playoff game. Damon Allen,
oh, that's smart,
brings the ball out closer to the middle hash marks. for Noel Prefontaine.
And that is such smart situational offense right here. Nothing fancy. Get it to the middle of the field. Winnipeg does not have a timeout left. They burned it a couple of series ago. And so now what Toronto will do is they'll run the clock down. Even if he misses the field goal, single point. I mean, the bottom line is get the ball up in the air.
Yeah, the Bombers' only hope here.
So the clock is running.
Is a block. Or if he misses, try to get it out. Again, this is coming against the wind, but not a long goal at all for Noel Prefontaine.
Toronto.
Timeout, Toronto. Final play of the game and a chance to get back into a tie. And what a showdown that could be next week if they get this win in Montreal.
And I'll tell you, Toronto did the smart thing. I mean, there's been a lot of great coaching today with the challenges with the win, but why they called the timeout with 2 seconds, it's only second down. So if there's a problem, they still could maybe on third down make the play.
No one back in the Winnipeg end zone. Looking for the block. Kick is up and good. And the Toronto Argos engineer a last-minute drive. And Mike Pinball Clemens and his team are back tied with the Montreal Alouettes. 2 thrillers in the CFL on Sunday.